So, if you want to start a Dynasty fantasy football league, we're going to go over a few things that you have to do to make your league successful. First of all, you're going to need competent players. If people have never played fantasy football before and you're signing them up for a Dynasty league, your league is probably screwed. So, with that being said, if you have 10 to 12 competent people, we'll get in what to do with 8, but let's start with 10 to 12. You're going to want to do a start 12 full PPR, tight end premium, 6 point per passing touchdown. Now, how that breaks down is two super flex spots, 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end. If you don't want to do 1 tight end, you could do no tight end premium, but start 2 tight ends. If you don't do tight end premium, your league will not value tight ends. And people like Kyle Pitts, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce will be moved around and they won't have substantial value, which doesn't make much sense when they are the best players at their positions. You're going to want 2 standard flex spots. I've seen some leagues get rid of a second running back spot, or a third running back spot, a third receiver spot, add another flex spot. Personally, I'm not a fan. If anything, you're going to want to have bigger starting lineups. If you have too much consolidation in starting lineups, let's say start 9, run 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, and then you fill out the rest however you want. Certain flex, certain receivers, 2 tight ends, 1 tight end, 3 flex, however. You're only going to want the absolute best players you can get. And there will be no point of having any depth in your team. With that being said, your initial startup draft will be very important. Some people will have not good drafts. Some people will have very good drafts. It's important to keep everybody engaged. That is the commissioner's job, so that will be your job. For your redraft, for every rookie draft you do, you're going to want to do roughly 40 picks, is what I found to be the sweet spot. So if you have 8 people in your league, you want to do 5 rounds, which how I would determine the order is my league that I run, we do a lottery. So we have 8 people. Our scoring is a little complex. I won't go through it. But the bottom 4 teams who miss the playoffs, they all get a 25% chance at the first overall pick. And then the 4 teams that make the playoffs, they each have a 25% chance at what is their number 1 overall pick, aka 5th overall pick. Some people don't like that. They think it's crazy. If you don't like that, you can do it on a reverse standings order at the end of the regular season. So if you get last, you get the first pick, second to last, second pick. If you win the regular season, meaning you're the highest finishing team, you have the number 1 overall seed in the playoffs, you'll get the 8th pick or the last pick. If you have 12 teams and you don't want to do a lottery, if you win the regular season, you'll have the 12th pick. If you have 10 teams, you win the regular season, the 10th pick. Exactly like that. And I would not do snake. Make sure it's a linear draft. If it's a snake draft, what good does it do to have the first overall pick? If you have the first pick and the 24th pick and a 12 team, I mean, you're screwed. You're never going to rebuild. So make sure the draft, the rookie draft, is a linear draft. Now, I wouldn't do your startup like that. You can do a startup that goes a snake 1 round, 2 rounds, and then flips and goes back. That way it equals out, because if snakes drafts can screw over certain teams. So I would do that. All of this is available on a platform like Sleeper, so I highly recommend Sleeper. For your starting lineups, I highly recommend your league either use no kickers, no defenses, or juice the kicker and defensive scoring. If your kickers and defenses have standard scoring like they do on most sites, no one is going to keep kickers, nobody's going to keep defenses, and everybody's going to stream them every single week, and they won't matter. That defeats the purpose of Dynasty football, Dynasty fantasy football. If you're not keeping everybody throughout the offseason, then you don't need them at all. So how do you prevent this? You juice the scoring, make kickers matter. You can do 0.2 or 0.25 per yards of a field goal made. So if somebody makes, let's just keep it simple, 10-yard field goal, they get 2.5 points. Now, you might say, well, that's not a lot. Well, if somebody makes a 40-yard field goal, yeah, that adds up very quickly. They make a couple of those, Now your kicker's getting you some serious points. If your kicker and defenses are scoring 8 points, 10 points, like essentially less than your flex spots, there's no point in having them. So you have to weigh how you want to do that. Do you want to juice your defenses and kickers, or get rid of them altogether? I would not make them essentially valueless and have their scoring very low. For your bench spots, I would keep roughly 18 bench spots if you're doing a start 12 league. That would give you 30 total roster spots. And on top of that, I would do a 1-year taxi squad that you can put 3 players on. If you do more than that, on top of already 18 bench spots, your waivers will be decimated. You will have no waivers. Your waivers will be undrafted people that you've never heard of. Like, you think a 7th round quarterback that is definitely not going to play will be on the waivers? No shot. He'll be on somebody's taxi squad. So make sure that you really balance that out. But at the same time, you don't want the waiver wire to be oversaturated where there's no point in trading. You have to put emphasis in that same concept on the rookie draft. So balance that out, like with the numbers I just mentioned. Another thing, you're going to want rolling waivers. Those are coming around, I think, in the fantasy community. But if your league mates are not familiar with fantasy, they might not understand rolling waivers. So be sure to explain that to them. I can make a separate video on why rolling waivers are better than how waivers are normally done. You can also do fab, but for a startup, I wouldn't go there. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and we'll have a lot more coming in the future.